This is that moment. Holy. Yeah, look at her cork. So often with our sight fishing for poons, any sight fishing for tarpon, you watch that fish eat the fly. So one of the hardest parts about this game is when you see that fish eating the fly, to strip set or to get tight without messing it up. That's a lot of the time it happens there. It's like, and you know what I like to say, or when I watch that fish eat my fly, I wait just a second before coming back long and trying to make contact. The kiss of death is any rod movement whatsoever. So, and that some other folks do different things, but for me, you know, when that fish eats that fly, tight and not moving your rod at all. Like if you move your rod to the side even, or speed that fly up too much, so often it pops out of the mouth. And it pops out of the mouth no matter how well you do it at times, of course, but just no rod movement at all. Now, I've seen it happen where you hit them with the rod and we stay stuck, but it's not ideal at all. So, you know, you think about that fish in slow motion, he grabs the fly, and almost always he grabs it with his hand, which is kind of the top of his mouth, and the button, which is the top of the top lip. Even when he grabs it super fast, he usually gets it right there. And you got to give him a second to shut that mouth, maybe even turn away a little bit, and flatten that fly hook. As he turns, he gets him right there. And that's so often where our tarpon is hooked in the button. So give him a split second, then long and steady. Just get tight. Don't stick him, just get tight to that fish. There's a lot to learn with pulling on fish, and you know, honestly, when I think of that and like discussing with people before they're pulling on fish, the main thing I see is too much bend in the rod. So when you're pulling on a tarpon, you don't want to bend your rod too much. And as soon as you come a little bit too high, you need to wind down again. Unless you're using light line, then you need a lot of bend in your rod. But typically 20 pounds line or whatnot, you do it a lot with just the back end of that rod. If your rod gets too high, nothing's happening down there at the fish. Like, you know, I can hand you the fly and double my rod over, and you can keep it in your fingers with just holding it, right? So, and I put my rod straight at you, I can pull that fly out of your hand real easy. So, in general, the mistake I see mostly is too much bend. So, when you get too high, then you have to go way down. So, like keeping it short, quick winds, pumps. Then the two main things are either you're pulling down the back of the fish, or you're trying to lift the fish straight up to the surface. Once you get that face to the surface, that's kind of the end goal, is getting that fish's face up high, and you kind of have control over them there. Another thing I talk about is when we're pulling on the fish, watching for the next move. So you're pulling them and you see him trend right, you swing left to keep it from happening. And you just keep countering that fish, you can defeat that guy. He just, like, sometimes they just are like, okay, I'm done, you know? So, and that's more of an end game idea, so. Yeah, landing as a single angler, like if you're by yourself, you're screwed. Yeah, it's super hard to do. But as soon as I grab that leader, I want my angler to pull some line off and relieve pressure. So he's not pulling against my hand, but tension between here and the rod tip. I don't want the line slack. And he's ready for me to have to let go if the fish bolts or whatnot. So he's still in the game, even though I'm trying to wrangle that fish, get his face up, grab the jaw. And the tough part is go here and then transition to two hands. So the grabbing of the face is my favorite part, because it's kind of warfare, you know? It's like mayhem, and it's always different, and the fish, you know, crazy shit happens, and that's the fun part for me, yeah.